Okay, I would like to welcome all of you to Parent University. My name is Barb Lair, and I'm a member of the CASE IST team, and I'll be moderating this evening. At CASE, our instructional support team is made up of professionals from various backgrounds and areas of expertise that provide support within the general and special educational settings to all of our member districts. Tonight, our presenters are Tracy Kunce. She's an IST coach, provides executive functioning support, speech language pathologist, has worked for CASE for 15 years, and has 20 years experience in the field. Also, I'd like to introduce Kim Kearney. She's also an IST coach, assistive technology facilitator, speech language pathologist, and has worked at CASE 7 years and has 14 years of experience in the field. Tonight's presentation is executive functioning strategies. A few reminders, please keep yourself muted. Please feel free to use the chat function for questions and comments, for which I will be monitoring it through the evening. We will be recording the first half of the presentation this evening, and then we will be opening up for questions and discussions, at which point we will stop the recording. I will link our team's email address in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or if we can support you. In the chat, I asked the presenters, are there any other handouts to be shared with the parents and families tonight?
Yes, there will be.
Okay, so I will make sure that those will also go into the chat. So I turn it over to Tracy and Kim.
Excellent, thank you. Well, welcome everybody. To get started off with, we just want to start with the definition of executive functioning. So for anyone who was with us last time, we did go over this, but I just want to do a quick review. And executive functioning is the skills that people use to plan, organize, problem solve, set and achieve goals. Or as my favorite new definition is just that it's the skills we need to get things done. These are foundational skills that we all use every single day, all throughout our lives, and they start developing right at the very beginning of our life, and they continue developing well into our 20s. So all of your kids right now are developing a lot of these skills, and with everything that's going on, it's making it a little bit more challenging. So we talked a little bit last time about what executive dysfunction looks like. Sorry about that, I'm gonna just open this up a little bit better. And executive dysfunction can look a lot of different ways. Some of the behaviors that you may see externally could be anything from an outburst or tantrums, or feelings of overwhelm, or being late, or being lost and confused, disorganization, whether it's a messy desk or locker or bedroom or backpack. Or sometimes it's just disengagement. And right now that may look like just that big initial on the screen. So behind all of these behaviors, it could be troubles with executive functioning. It might not, but these are some of the things we might see. And last time we introduced you to Jaden, and these were some of the things that we saw in Jaden.
So in school, Jaden was had a positive attitude. He had trouble finding materials. He seemed to be a step behind other kids in the classroom, has difficulty following directions he hears from the teacher, and he takes a long time to get assignments or homework done. So Jaden is our made up case study, not a real kid, but these are some of the characteristics you might see in school with a kid with executive dysfunction. And Tracy's going to share some strategies that might help Jaden.
So if you listen to some of the Parent Universities way at the beginning of the year, you probably heard us talk about having a good learning space and having all your materials within reach, and having a schedule to look at what the day looks like, and lots of different things for organization. All of those things are actually strategies to help with executive functioning. And they might probably help a kid like Jaden with some of those characteristics. The few strategies that I wanted to talk about tonight are going to help dig into that a little bit deeper. And the first one is looking at planning and prioritizing. So one of the things that was mentioned was that Jaden was missing a lot of assignments. And this is something that we hear with a lot of kids, especially right now, that those missing assignments are piling up more and more. And one thing that could be contributing to that is not being able to see their time so much. There's a lot of asynchronous learning going on. A lot of kids have to work independently on some of these assignments, and they don't have the structure of the day or the cues from the teacher to help them know when some of their assignments can or should get done. So what can you do as parents to help them out? Well, here's one tip, using what I just called a time blocked schedule. And this was just a quick little thing that I created on a Word document. And this just helps a child see what time they do have throughout the day. And as you can see, I color coded some of the different times so that you can see what's happening at different time periods of the day. So for instance, this kid is in class from 8 to 11. And then I used a different color to show that from 11 to 1, maybe that's when the break of the day is. And there might be some time to get some assignments done and still have time to have lunch and do something non-school related before class starts up again at 1 o'clock. And then later in the day, there may be some other activities. Looks like I'd written piano in there, maybe dinners later, something else is going on. But you can see the time, and that's what's really important. A lot of times I'll hear that students will have their list of things that need to get done. I have a math assignment, I have to read for 30 minutes, I have those social studies discussion questions to answer. They have the list. I know what I need to do, and that's what needs to be done by tomorrow. But when you say, well, when are you going to do it? Oh, after school sometime. But do you know what after school looks like? And that's what can be difficult for some kids. And they don't know what that looks like. They don't know, they can't see ahead in the future to know what time is available or what that looks like or what an hour block might look like. So this is a strategy that can help them see that a little bit better. And yes, it's something that they might need some assistance with creating or filling out, but that's a tool that you can use. And I'll have a link to this at the end that you can use. It's just a simple thing that was created, but you might also have a planner or agenda that came from school that would also work just as well. The next thing that goes along with that is a tool called the Get Ready, Do Done method. This was developed by Sarah Ward and Kristen Jacobson, both of whom are speech language pathologists. And this goes along with the thinking of having that end result first. You want to be able to picture your end result first. And for a lot of our kids, it's difficult for them to initiate projects or persist through them many times because they can't picture that end result. This is something that's developing as they're getting older. And this tool helps them develop that thinking. So we always want to start over here at the end with the done. What is your done going to look like? So we can use a homework assignment, an art project, even a chore, anything. What does done look like for this particular task? And you may have a picture of something, you may just have the assignment itself that you set in front of that, you may sketch something out, but just to have an idea of what their end result is going to look like. And then we backtrack to the do. What are the steps that we need to do to get to that done? You might write it out. Again, you might have pictures, you might have some of the pieces that you need to get to that done, but what are the steps that I need to do? So this is going to help them put that together. And then we back up one more to get ready. What are the things we need? What are the materials? What does my space need to look like? And you might also think about, what do I need to do before I get started? Do I need to get a drink of water? Do I need to use the bathroom? What are the things I need to do to get ready before I start this task? So we backwards chain, we go through this backwards, and then we want to execute it forwards. So once we've gone through it backwards, then they can get started and go through and get to their done. So here's what this might look like in your space. So you can see that this is my learning space, and I just created some get ready, do, done mats. And you can use construction paper or just some laminated. These are put in pocket protector kind of sleeves that you can use dry erase markers on. But the done is over here on the right-hand side. The do is in the middle, and the get ready is on the left-hand side. And by putting these mats out, you can put the physical items right out on there so that your child can see all the pieces that it's going to take to get to that done result. And just a little closer up, in this instance, done looks like a paragraph that needs to be written. There's a writing assignment. So that's what my done is going to be. Do, it's a little fuzzy, sorry about that. But to get to that done, I need to use my outline that we worked on a few days ago. So we're going to use the outline to write that paragraph to get to the done. And backing up the get ready, all we need for this task is a pencil. So we laid that right on the mat. So that's what we need to get ready. So, and I just real quickly wanted to show you as well, if you are, a lot of things that are being given remote, you might not have those physical items. So you might just take your mats and sketch something out. So for example, say it is a paragraph. I like to do things as easy as possible for the kids. And so I might just sketch out, okay, you do have to write a paragraph. Paragraph's typically an introduction, 3 details, and a conclusion. So you're done. It's going to be 5 sentences. That's what you're shooting for. So then they have an idea in their head of what the done looks like. So we've got that. What do you have to do to get there? Well, first, you have to write your sentences.
Okay.
And then you have to edit.
Yep.
Those are going to be your steps. Okay, we've got it. And then what do you need? What do you need to get ready? I'm going to need my pencil, and we're going to need paper. Awesome. Okay, so then you could set that in front of your child, and they have their get ready, their do, and their done. And that's it. And then, like I said, these are just in some plastic sleeves, and you can erase those and use them over and over. You can do that with construction paper. You can even do something with Post-it notes. Keep it simple. The last strategy that I have goes along with that, and it's also pairing time. Time is very important. Kids often have trouble initiating or continuing on because they don't understand that concept of time. So we use what we call is the working clock. And all it is, it's nothing magical. It's just a regular old analog clock. And this one is just a $4 one that I pick up at Target all the time. And this has a plastic face. It's easy to write on with a dry erase marker. I always have kids that have trouble with the concept of time. What they often see is digital time. So they'll see, the time on their computer or another device or the microwave, and that's just giving them the present time. And when we tell them you have 5 minutes or you have 20 minutes or you have 15 minutes, it's hard for them to understand how long that really is. So, and oftentimes when we say that, we often cut that short or let it go long. So it's not really the exact amount of time. By giving them the working clock, we can help them see and feel their time. So if they're starting something at 9 o'clock, we might say, okay, you're going to work on that assignment for 20 minutes. So we'd start it just by drawing a line here and saying, okay, 5, 10, 15, 20. That's the time you have to work on that project, and they can see the minute hand go through, and they can see how much time they actually have. And that helps give them a sense of time. And you might also maybe use a different color and show them 5, 10, 15, then you have this much time for a break. And they can see how their time is being used. So that's a really helpful tool, even for the kids that don't know time yet. This is going to help build that sense of time and help them learn time a little bit. So those are my 3 academic tips for executive functioning right now. Let me reshare this so Kim can jump into some of the social.
Thanks, Tracy. So we're back to Jaden. So if we look over on the right-hand column, Jaden with friends. So he is misinterpreting situations. His feelings are easily hurt. He gets upset or angry over small problems, is considered a sore loser, and he doesn't respond well when plans change. So what we're going to talk about next are just a few strategies that are often used in schools to help deal with some of the social, emotional impacts of executive dysfunction, and some things that maybe you can carry over to home. So meet Superflex. Superflex is a curriculum that was developed by Michelle Garcia Winter and Stephanie Madrigal. And it's often used to help kids learn how to emotionally regulate and improve their social skills. And it teaches the concepts of self-awareness, of observing your thoughts and reactions and your own behaviors, and how that may make you feel and how that may make other people feel. So this is kind of a comic book layout. And the main character is Superflex. And we say we all have a Superflex inside of us. Superflex is the hero that helps us to observe what our behaviors are and help to modify them, help us to become more flexible, and help us to become a little bit more socially interactive with our friends. So Superflex's job is to deal with this team of unthinkables. So these are characters that are very colorful, very memorable, and they all have a description of who they are. And the first, you can see on this chart here, there's a whole list of them. A couple that we'll talk about, for example, are Rock Brain. They all have kind of funny names. Rock Brain, Glass Man, Mean Gene, Was Funny Once. And each character talks about different aspects that we all have in our brains that may become active at times when we are having difficulty with our executive dysfunction. So 3 unthinkables that related to Jaden are Destroyer of Fun, DOF, Rock Brain, and Glass Man. So I'm going to briefly describe what these unthinkables are and kind of how we talk about them and how we teach these concepts. And so what we say is that these unthinkables can become active in your brain. And we wouldn't go around calling a kid a rock man or a rock brain or a glass man or say you're being a destroyer of fun, but we're trying to help kids start to observe when these things become active in themselves. So for example, a destroyer of fun, he often has a hard time if he loses. He wants to be first all the time. He may be a sore loser or a poor sport. That's how a destroyer of fun may be destroyed. And Rock Brain has a really difficult time going with other people's suggestions or ideas, has a really hard time considering thoughts and ideas of other people, and just has a really difficult time maybe if our plans change. And Glass Man gets upset very easily and often has a really big reaction to kind of a small problem. So when we teach these unthinkables, the idea is to teach strategies that Superflex, our own superhero, can help implement to help change the way that our brains are dealing with our own thoughts and our own emotions. And so these concepts are really targeted towards younger kids, with these superheroes and unthinkables. But really, as we grow older, we all think about our own inflexibility or our own reactions to problems, or, you know, how we may be feeling if there's a competitive situation. So the idea is to teach these strategies in this unique way when kids are young, and then they can carry these ideas of rigidity or competitiveness or big reactions and observe those behaviors in themselves and use the strategies that they've been using since they learned about these little unthinkables. So now we're going to talk about what some of those strategies might be. So the first is to work on flexible thoughts. And so flexible thoughts are really trying to understand opinions and thoughts of others, trying to break away from our own thoughts and really seeing that other people can have ideas and thoughts and situations can change and it can be okay. So for example, some flexible thoughts that we might see is it's not worth being upset about. So that might be a flexible thought we would use if there has been a glass man kind of reaction. And we would say, yeah, you know, that was not that big of a problem. It's okay. We don't need to be that upset. Or we might look at, you know, somebody who really wants to do their own thing, but the rest of the group wants to do something else. You might work on a flexible thought of this might not be so bad, and work towards accepting others' ideas and opinions and kind of going more with the flow. So flexible thoughts can be used across all regions of executive function. Another strategy we really try to use is deep breathing and mindfulness. And this can go, start very early and go into teen and adult years. I think everybody just feels better when they take a big breath. You can feel the relaxation kind of move through your body. And deep breathing and mindfulness is known to improve behavior and increase your attention span. You can become more resilient to stress and help control your own emotions when these are practices that you regularly use. Here are a few examples that I have. There are 2 breathing techniques highlighted here, the 6-sided breathing and lazy 8 breathing. These both come from the Zones of Regulation. It's another curriculum by Leah Kuipers. Is that right, Tracy? And they are 2 breathing techniques that have great visuals and are very simple for kids to follow. And it gives students directions right there on the page, and it gives you another modality. You physically move your finger along the 6 sides of the breathing or through the lazy 8 breathing, and you tie the movement to your breath and your concentration is on the page in front of you. And it helps kids to feel that relaxation and decrease some of that stress. And those can both be found on that document that we're going to share later with some of the resources Tracy already talked about. Other mindfulness practices, meditation, observation. There's one little picture here, it talks about smelling a flower, right? And so just bringing your attention to your senses, what you can observe and take in from the world around you. And yoga practice is also a great strategy.
Okay, and another great resource that has recently been shared was a virtual calming room that was created by the social workers in Marquardt District 15. This has a ton of really good resources for anyone to access. And just a quick overview of it, they have a series of breathing tools, yoga, meditation, music and sounds, exercise and movement, arts and creativity, thinking tools and distractions, and exploration and live animal cameras. I've looked at a bunch of these and they do cover, because the district covers from kindergarten through middle school. So there's activities for all ages in there, and it's a great resource to help a lot of kids with self-regulation and managing emotions as well. So I think that's an excellent resource for everyone to take a look at. So.
And our last slide here just brings your attention to the Google Doc that we created. And it has links to the resources that we shared and a couple more resources as well, ways to teach and implement some of these strategies in your own home. I just shared the link to the doc in the chat, so you should all see it there. And it also has the link to the virtual calming room as well from District 15.
All right. That is the end of our presentation. Thank you all very much for listening.